evening, good morning, and good afternoon, folks. From around the world, we're here at the beautiful circuit of Imola for round one of the EG Evolve Season 25 RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship. My name is Stephen Koenig. Thanks for joining us here tonight, and we are in for an absolute treat. Season 25 is definitely going to be a interesting one for drivers, as it is going to be one that challenges them. But we're going to be kicking things off first with Imola, as a beautiful circuit and opened in 1953. The 17 corners is going to be challenging drivers to really step up their game, and the 4.9 kilometer circuit will definitely test the endurance of every single one of our drivers to make sure they can stand at the top. It's going to be a hard one. It's going to be a difficult one. It is going to be a great one. It's going to be a great season, that being said. So, underway, our drivers have started to make their way onto the circuit to start with their qualifying, and we're going to go and get Tim to take us down to the beautiful circuit and get us those beautiful sights and sounds of Imola. And we head on to the circuit. Henry Platt currently underway, trying to get some time on the board. It's Christoph Peterson leading out the pack and hoping to go and fight it out with Henry Platt and Jason Abschmeyer running in third place at the moment. And he's in the Pandacity Infiltrate Persuasion car. Good to see him out there and having a bit of fun. We've also got a massive amount of returning drivers and you legends in the virtual grandstands. Carabukes going and saying how's it, Tennis Buerta, Productive Panda, all going and saying how's it. It's good to see. And Derek Bakum also going and saying hello, hello, hello to everyone. So, Bego Krobler out in the Mustang, managed to put himself into third place, and 140.5 to beat, set by Christoph Peterson. He's managing to hold his ground against a big Henry Platt, who this past weekend was actually in a fight in a different league with him. So is Bego Krobler. So a little bit of early goings to try and have a go at one another and see the competition. Jason Farmer looking to have a bit of fun this time, going and changing it up completely. If we know Jason Farmer, we've always known him with a mid-engine car. For the first time ever, Jason Farmer is jumping into a Lexus, which is going to be a very interesting tell for the Griffin Sim Racing boys, and seeing how it's all going to turn out. And I know Antonio Gamble that's busy in the pit lane saying, how's it, everybody? And how's it to Jason, my boy, and the Griffin Sim Racing will keep a close eye. Ruan Heineke in 7th place with Herman Whitner of Extreme Sim Racing, a new sim racing team that has arrived on the scene. Ricky Beckler is a new driver to the Griffin Sim Racing team, has been showing off what he can do overseas racing, and it's good to see him out there. We've got Sean Larrera as well, Benjamin Till leading out of our Pro-Am. Now, you heard me right, we have Pro and Pro-Am on the circuit. White borders is Pro, red borders is your Pro-Am. Chris Biermesser in 12th, Jeffrey LaRue down in 14th position. Keegan Bowen, second of the Pro-Ams, currently running in 15th with likes of Jared Pretorius on his tail, trying to make up some time. Jean-Ray Buerta going to be joining us along with Conrad Martin. Chris Heineke, a little bit further down. Ethan Lacuna coming and joining us as well. Christian Zetzman, the Zetzman brothers return in force. Jaco Nordia, and then we got Kevin Pickery to enjoy a bit of fun, and that is part of the Toga Academy. Michael Berg and Graham Kelly return to the circuit. Jack Darts for the Rav Mac out on circuit. Then we got Jeremiah Valatham, who's a little bit further down in 27th. Anton Lummers is in 28th. Reginald Mutaleni said he's going to use as little fuel as possible to stand at the top. William Wentworth coming and joining for Team Tryhard. And we've got a returning driver who has been at the forefront in quite a few different races, taking time from racing an F400 to jump back into the sim. We've got Dylan Hall and a new driver, Victor D, to come and have a chat to us all the way from Pandacity Infiltrate as well. So Pandacity coming in with full force to take on the Griffin Sim Racing team and Logistical Nightmare Racing and so many else. So it's good to see all these teams rejoining to come and have some fun. Christoph Peterson yet to be beaten, half a second behind. Henry Platt not able to make a go. Jason Abschmeyer going to be coming across the line, puts himself up into second place, 140.8, and managing to close that distance down. Herman Whitner still a little bit off the ball at the moment, trying to get 0.1 up. Ruben Heineke is currently 0.1 up as he's trying to step up that game a little bit more, seeing where it can all turn out for him. It's going to be a difficult run. Chris Heineke a little bit further down, along with Ricky Beckler, a little bit trying to get the pace. Ricky hoping that he's got enough in the tank, does move himself into 6th place ahead of Jared Bacum, who is racing for Team Wolf and hoping to get a little bit closer to Bagdar Krobler. Keep an eye on Jared. He's shown some great promise last season and hoping to take a championship run at the moment. Ulrich Diaga leads out our Pro-Ams with Benjamin Till down in 16th place. So a lot of room between our drivers at the moment. Ruben Heineke trying to step up the pace a little bit more, 0.1 up. Jeffrey LaRue next across the line and does go a bit quicker. He's into the top 8, hoping that it will keep him up ahead. Jason Farmer mounting the curbs with the Lexus. Not often you can go and see the likes of Jason Farmer to be able to run over the curbs as hard as possible, but being in the front engine car seems to have suited him this time round. Jared Bacum up into 8th place. Ruben Heineke and Ricky in 6th and 7th, but Christoph Peterson still holds the top, along with Jason Abschmeyer on the front row. It's good to see a bit of returning and past rivalries to be reignited. Jason Farmer up into the top 5 for the Griffin Sim Racing team, and hoping that that is going to work out for him. Jean-Ray Buerta a little bit further down, 0.4 up on his time. It's going to be a good one for him as he boots it through Team Kerigma Racing up into 13th position. Got a stellar run out of the final sector. Anton Lummers for Naguri Motorsports out there, hoping to keep it all together. Is down in 28th position. And we've got 2 drivers yet to get a time on the board, Dylan Hall and Victor D, who are yet to get their times on board to try and move forward. Unfortunately, not able to get the run up as yet. Dylan Hall still out on circuit trying to make it work for him, but Victor deciding that he's going to rather go and wait in the pits. So we keep an eye on Anton Lummers. He's 0.2 up. Boots it across the line, and he's able to get into 24th position with a 142.7 on that last run. Sean Lerrero, great run for him, up into 11th. So Sean having a stellar run with a 141.7 on that last run out. And with 3 minutes remaining, these drivers have really got to get the giddy up and go. Jaco Nadir still trying to move up. Did a 142.0, hoping to get into the 41s. Benjamin Till needs to get a bit closer to the likes of Ulrich Diaga. Now, we've seen him. He's able to get a little bit closer every step of the way. But can he do it again this time round? And out in the BMW, which is very different to what he had last season, where he had the Lamborghini. And trying out also front engine. So quite a few drivers switching over and trying out different cars to see what works for them. Ethan Lacuna is a little bit further down, and we do have Conrad Martin returning in the Ferrari. Now, this is a driver that transferred from the McLaren to the Ferrari and has seen positive gains in his run. But also a driver returning and very well known to Raceface is Hansi Myberg. This time round, not in Team Triad colours that we've seen him for many, many, many years. He's now a new signee for the Pandacity Racing team. So it's good to see a returning driver of Hansi Myberg, and going and seeing him in a different set of colours out there in the BMW in the Pandacity team. So good to see a drive from him. And it's going to be an interesting run to see how it's all going to work out. Keegan Bowen down in 22nd position, trying to get the step up. But let's talk about our leader at the moment, because Christoph Peterson is currently the quickest around the circuit, not only just on his previous lap time, but if he can keep it all together, he might be able to set a 140.2 instead of a 140.4 that he's currently got and stretch a lead over Jason Abschmeyer and Bagdar Krobler, who currently hold on to 3rd place. Henry Platt going to be next across the line is currently 0.1 up. In fourth place, the big Bentley getting a bit close to the wall. Can he make it work? Trying to reduce as much road as possible. He's up into third and pushes Bago Krobler a little bit further down the order. Not by much, though. Last lap time was 140.912. Bago, a 140.970. So close between them. But it is still on the cards as there's 42 seconds to go. So if you have just started your lap, or you are getting round to it, you're going to have to make it work. And Bago at the moment is not going to have it work. He is caught behind the Aston Martin. That's definitely taking a little bit of a relaxed run. And that's Graham Kelly, who is pushing for a hard lap at the moment. See if he can improve out of 24th position. Jason Farmer currently trying to step up. Christoph Peterson sets fastest lap time of a 140.20. So definitely a great run on his part to try and keep the momentum going and see if he can really push that a little bit harder at the moment. It's going to be a tough time indeed for them as they try to move their way up the order. And I fully expect we're going to see the same fight over and over for our drivers to get that little bit more of a pace. Peterson is in the pits. Absmeyer in second. Henry Platt, Bago Krobler, Ruan Heineke, Sean Lerero, Jason Farmer, 0.2 up on his time. Can he make it work out in his favor? Hansi Myberg, 0.4 up on his time. Jeremiah Velathan also currently up on his time by 0.2 of a second. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is gonna be a rough, tough race for our runners. Jason Farmer, however, has not improved his time. He will not be in the top 5 and will have to sit next to fellow teammate Sean Lerero. That's going to beat him out. So still trying to learn the Lexus that little bit more and bouncing between two different cars. Let's see how it's going to work out during the course of this race. So this is going to be a great run for our drivers in round 1 of the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship, sponsored and powered by EG Evolved, who's going to be giving us some of the great stuff. And keep an eye out, there's going to be some interesting news coming from EG Evolved, and it's going to come out live here at RaceFace. You want to keep a very close eye on everything that will be going on. So let's talk about Imola, because it is going to be a tough one. Drivers are going to aim for turn 1, which is going to be the Variante Alta, which is a bit of an not Variante. They'll be going into Variante. No. Jingo, Steve, can you get yourself straight? Going to be a small kink through the right-hander before hard braking into Variante Tamburello and then into Charge down to Variante Villeneuve. It's always a tough time when you're side by side. You don't want to be on the inside line. You're going to slow too much before you get to Tosa and you open yourself up for an overtake. Heading into Aqua Mirali, it's always difficult on cold tires, so expect the grid to back themselves up through there and through Variante Alta while they're bouncing over the curbs and before they get towards our final sector. Down the hill, huge charge. This is going to be one to keep a very close eye on, as drivers have got to shake off a bit of rust. It's been a while since they've squared up, and now it comes down to this. 1 hour, 20 minutes worth of racing, 2 mandatory pit stops where they have to put at least 1 liter of fuel in the cars before they get out of the pits. That counts as a pit stop. You also got to get yourself firmly in the blocks to ensure that you're done and dusted. If you're a little bit out, it's game over. But with this being said, we're in for a great race, because right at the front, we got the Feel the Bones driver, Logistical Nightmare Racing. Gotta say that one. LNR FTB will be Christoph Peterson on the front row. And returning driver, and not often that we get to see on the front, last time he was sitting on the front row was back in 2020 to 2020, I would say 2023. Jason Abschmeyer is ready to take the stage. They got Henry Platt. They'll be on the back of them with Bago Krobler as well. So as the drivers start to get themselves going, well, let's start looking at our field and going through the EG Evolved RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship Round 1 here at Imola. It's going to be Christoph Peterson in first place with Jason Absmeyer in second on the front row. Second to that is going to be Henry Platt with Bego Krobler. Rern Heineke and Sean Lerero will be in sixth. Jason Farmer will have to join his teammates a little bit further back. Jared McComb for Team Wolf will be backing up Bego in eighth place. Keegan Bowen will be running in ninth with Herman Whitner in the Extreme Sim Racing team. First time out for the team here at RaceFace, and let's see what they can do. Jaco Nadir, followed by Chris Heineke, Benjamin Till, Ricky Beckler, a new driver to the grid and has shown promise. Jeffrey LaRue, Ulrich Diaga, Gerald Pretorius, Ethan Lacuna, Chris Beermester, who's the second of the Extreme Sim Racing a little bit further down, and Jean-Ray Buerta in that top 20. Conrad Martin sits in 21st with Hansi Myberg, Jeremiah Valathan, a little bit further down with Kevin Pickery, Graham Kelly, Christian Zetzman, Anton Lumbers, Reginald Mutileni, Michael Berg, Jack Darts, William Wentworth, Dylan Hall, and Victor D round out our field, ready to go racing as we get those engines roaring in through the microphone. This is gonna be a proper run, and fully expect the tires to take a beating. The question is, who is going to do a tire change first in their pit stop? When are they going to do the pit stop? Is it going to be early enough, or are you going to run that a little bit later into the race and try and do a double on your pit stop? Keegan Bowen's got a lot of pressure in the Pro-Am division as he does lead out. He's got a little bit of room to Benjamin Till, Ulrich Diaga, and Gerard Pretorius. The question is, does he carry on to move forward, or will he get into unnecessary fights but focus on just pushing that little bit harder to try and get into the Pro division in terms of license points? Yes, we've switched out now, trying out something a little bit different. Instead of just your seating, there is an ELO system that's been integrated into RaceFace to assign Pro and Pro-Am along with our AMs that are currently racing at the same time. So we got lots and lots of racing happening here tonight and over the course of the season. But let's concentrate on the matter at hand. Front row, Peterson, Absmeyer lining up. Mercedes versus McLaren. Front engine versus mid-engine. Imola, turn one. And the advantage is going to go for Peterson for the inside into turn one, but he's going to be on the outside for turn two. Can he get the jump off the line as we get ready to rock and roll? Lights on, lights on, lights on. Absmeyer looking to get ready. 70 kilometers an hour, and this is it. You've been waiting for it. A whole year has gone round, and we are back to racing for 2026. The first race of 2026 here at EG Evolved GT3 ACC Championship, and we are ready to go racing in a few moments. Come on, the green lights, green lights, green lights, green lights, green lights. Biggity, 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 biggity. Let's go racing as they charge off the line, and it looks like a great start for Peterson. Absmeyer tucks in behind, hoping to go for the inside. Peterson trying to defend, but Absmeyer up on the inside. Oh, contact from the front row. Both are in the weeds. Both are in the weeds. Platt gets it through. Bego gets it through. And we do have a bit of a problem. That might have been Sean Lerero who got sent into the wall. Reginald Mutileni. And it looks like a bit of ring rust comes into play for a couple of drivers. Michael Berg caught out. Rern Heineke caught out. Sean Lerero caught out. And a little bit further up, we got Ricky into the dirt as well. Drivers all over the show, having a tough time out there at the moment. Jason Farmer putting a bit of pressure on Peterson, has got Keegan Bowen, and immediately take a look at Jaco Nadir coming up in full force, trying to see where he can gain a little bit of time as the drivers make their way through. First time in anger through Aquamaroli, and it's going to be Gerald Pretorius right on the back of Chris Heineke. Benjamin Till trying to have a go at him. Ethan Lacuna trying to battle his way through. But let's quickly go back and see that incident off the spat. And this is going to be with the likes of Bego. We want to go and see how it all turned out as Jason Absmeyer tried getting the jump off the line on Christoph Peterson into turn one. Looked for the left-hand side, and unfortunately went and outbraked himself, caught into the door. and is way, way down the order. Not what you want to see, but now drivers need to get themselves back into the rhythm. Bego Krobler and Henry Platt doing everything he can. Jared Bakum and Christoph Peterson are following one another, and Chris Heineke has got a bit of pressure from his own teammate, Gerald Pretorius, Benjamin Till, and Ethan Lacuna having a good go, and immediately Ulrich de Jager closes up on the back. Chris Biermeister trying to get a little bit more drive, has got Jeffrey Leroux, Hansi Myburg up into 16th, but the question is, where was Jason Abschmeyer? He's into the pits. Jean-Ray Boerter's into the pits. Ruben Heineke, Anton Lummers, and we're getting further reports of Jackie Darts having contact with Christian Zitzman. And that is unfortunately a bit of a mistake coming in for Jack Darts. So Jack up on the inside of Christian, late on the brakes, tries to go for the pass in one. A bit of a bounce for Christian. He's off into the weeds, returns back, little bit of contact. Jack's able to keep it going. Christian into the wall, and that turned the race on its head for Christian. A little bit further back, it is Kevin Pickery trying to have a little bit of a run, and we are getting reports that the drivers are leaving pit lane after their pit stop. Sean Herrera around the outside trying to make up some time. Gets ahead of Victor at the moment. William Wentworth trying to get a little bit of time to make his way through. So everyone just going and pushing that little bit harder. But at the front, Henry Platt leads out the race for the Pro Division. Keegan Bowen holds on for first in the Pro-Am division. Bego Krobler and Jared Bakum, the two teammates running in tow, second and third, to try and hold back Christoph Peterson in fourth place. Gerald Pretorius and Benjamin Till currently running second and third for the Pro-Ams, and it's Jared that set the fastest lap time, immediately taken away by Herman Whitner at the moment, who goes and keeps his throttle in the whole way. Late on the brakes up against Jakob Ndiaye, and seeing where he can gain a little bit of time. Jeffrey Leroux going and losing out to Hansi Myburg, trying to go for a little bit of a cutback. They do see Ulrich de Jager off circuit. Hansi's going to go for the inside. Ulrich's got no drive, and that unfortunately has fouled up Leroux, who had to back out of it. And Ulrich de Jager closes right into the rear of Hansi Myburg, loses a little bit of drive. Jeffrey Leroux going to go around the outside and see where he can make up a bit of a climb. Late break for the Jason Farmer, who sends it on the inside against the likes of Jared. Both going able to save it. Jared not too happy on that one, but Farmer put the send, and Jared got the worst of it, dropping down behind Jakob Ndiaye. Now has Herman Whitner all over the back of him. Jakob falls off the circuit, trying to get a little bit too much pace. Understeer came in, and the Porsche retaking sixth place. Jakob Ndiaye now side by side with Herman as he dives around the inside, dives around the outside. And it's going to be Chris Heineke immediately fouled up behind with Gerald Pretorius on his tail. Benjamin Till and Ethan Lacuna also giving everything they can to try and make up some time. Ethan looking around the inside. Oh, big mistake coming in for the Mustang. And Jakob Ndiaye and Gerald Pretorius have contact. Oh, and it looks like Ethan Lacuna, Chris Heineke, and it's also Benjamin Till. Hansi Myburg slots it in the middle. Everyone trying their luck so early on. And unfortunately, a few bits of damage coming in. Chris Heineke trying to fight back against Hansi Myburg as they dive towards turn one. It's going to be Chris on the inside to try and hold Hansi at bay, and managing to do so, but can he keep that car in check? He understeers. Hansi comes back at him, looks for the undercut side by side as they charge their way into the next turn four. Very, very close in towards the inside. No room there. Heineke off into the dirt. Myburg takes it, and Chris Biermeister tried to also capitalize at the moment. Chris Biermeister all over the back of Chris Heineke. Ethan Lacuna joining in the mix. Benjamin Till, Conrad Martin, Jeremiah all following through as well. And not to mention, this is a fight from 8th to 14th that are having a brawl at the moment. Absolutely slugging it out. And Hansi Myburg, a Pro-Am division, needs to try and catch up to Keegan Bowen. And he's busy slugging out with Heineke. Biermeister, who now trying to keep themselves in check. Chris loses out the drive and not having an easy one. Jared going off into the weeds, loses out to Jared McComb, and that's just allowed Herman Whitner to get a little bit closer and to start going onto the attack. It's Conrad Martin not able to get the chicane right after having a little bit of elbow to elbow with Chris Beermeister. Reginald Mutalini says thank you very much. He slots in front, utilizing a bit of straight line for the McLaren as a dive on the inside for Graham Kelly on Jeremiah, and he's able to clear on past, stop the Aston Martin, but that's fouled Jeremiah up for Reginald Mutalini to have a go. Sean Loureiro trying to make up a bit of time, and it's going to be Conrad into the pits to complete his first stop of the race. Side-by-side racing off the bat, but it's going to be interesting because the ones that are leading out everyone that's done their first pit stop is Berta, one driver who did go into the pits but didn't get in the boxes and didn't refill. It was Jason Abschmeyer. Sorry, he put in 1 liter of fuel, but he wasn't straight in the box. And there's Jason Abschmeyer, whose pit stop did not count, so he wasn't all squared up in the box. And unfortunately, that is one of the rules. You gotta be squared up in the box, and that's gonna take him out of the top 3 running if nothing goes on with our front end. Back to the front though, it's Henry Platt and Bego Krobler having a go. They do see Ricky ahead of them, trying to make up some time as they're starting to get closer towards the back markers. Bego Krobler keeping the pressure on Henry Platt as much as possible. See where it's all going to work out for him as they run in tow. It's only been a little bit of time, and so far we have seen everyone throwing hammer and tongs at the moment. Oh, Henry Platt off into the dirt, defending against Bego Krobler, who didn't get the best drive as well, as they keep nose to tail. Bego's going to have the advantage here, but Christoph Peterson trying to close up the time after having that contact off the start, seeing where it's all going to come into play now, as Christoph sets the fastest lap time in the race. Bego up on the inside of Henry Platt into turn 1, leans on him quite a bit under braking, and Bego mounting the curbs to try and get ahead of Platt and start accelerating away as quick as he can. But that's going to now allow Henry Platt to play a little bit of a tow. Jason Farmer trying to also get a little bit more of a climb as we go back to a monster of a fight. It is going to be Sean Loureiro and Jeremiah, and immediately we got Reginald Mutalini trying to see where he can capitalize. Jeremiah pushed to the curb, trying to defend. He comes back across the likes of Reginald's nose to try and hold him back, and lands a little bit into the dirt. Jack Darts is going to now try and look for the inside as Reginald Mutalini clears on by. Jack around the outside, going to have a tough time through there. Jack into the dirt, and that is now allowed Kevin Pickery to go and have a go in the BMW. Tried the outside line, couldn't see it working out, backed out, and would rather wait another day to see where he can fight back. It is a monstrous run off the bat for our drivers here at RaceFace.Pro, and let's see how it's all going to turn out as it continues. Each of the drivers trying to capitalize on each other's mistakes, trying to force mistakes out of one another. The question is, how far can they go? As we started seeing the drivers come in and get their first pit stops done, Jean-Ray Buerta is the first of those that have done their first pit stop. Was only a refuel and go, but he's followed by the likes of Jeffrey LaRue, Ulrich Dialga, Anton Lummers, Conrad Martin, Dylan Hall, Yaku Nadir, Chris Heineke, Gerald Torres, Ricky Buckler, and Michael Berg, who have continued to get that little bit more in their pit stop. It's Jason Farmer who holds the fastest lap time of the race, trying to close up the gap to Christoph Peterson at the moment. Jared McComb trying to make up a bit of time to Keegan Bowen, and has got a bit of pressure from Herman Whitner. Now this is going to be a very tough race for Herman to go around the inside. He looked to try go under braking, second guessed it though, because with the hairpin coming up, you want to try and line yourself up a little bit better. They do have a back marker going and playing a little bit in the background. That's Michael Berg, part of the Racing Snails, who's just keeping an eye on them, seeing where exactly can he gather a little bit of a tow and come back fighting in the later part of the race. Jared McComb hoping to get the drive on Keegan Bowen at the moment. Hard braking, swings it in through the right-hander, not able to close the gap on the Aston Martin. Has got an immense amount of torque, but it is going to be Keegan Bowen who got a terrible drive was not able to keep it in check, and it's going to be Jared up on the inside. Can he keep it together? Mounts over the curve, so does Keegan. Both of them taking chances and flirting with the track limits, and it's going to be Jared ahead of Keegan. But immediately, Herman looking to strike back as fast as possible now, hoping to look for the inside line. Late on the brakes, not able to get it done just as yet. Stays on the rear bumper of the Aston Martin and seeing where it's going to work out. Christoph Peterson takes the fast lap time of the race as Herman looks around the outside of Keegan Bowen. Can he get it done? Aiming for turn 1. The Ferrari's got immense amount of straight line speed, but so does the Aston, who is bravest on the brakes as they lock on the anchors. But it is Keegan who keeps it together, able to get it stopped. Herman trying to go around the inside, not able to get it done. Takes a cutback though, and just fouls up his drive. We are getting reports though, yellow flag for Chris Heineke, missing his brake marker, and is down the order. And Henry Platt having a bit of contact with Christoph Peterson as they change over second and third. Let's quickly go and take a look at the replay of what happened between the two of them. Christoph Peterson right into the back of Henry Platt, trying to see where he can go to get on by. Look to the inside, in through the hairpin, big send on the inside, and immediately Henry tried to come for a cutback, couldn't get it done. Little bit of touch on the rear bumper, but now can utilize the toe of that Mercedes to try and bring himself a little bit closer to Bego Krobler, who currently leads the pack. Hunty Myberg with Ethan Lacuna, his teammate right on the back of him, and Benjamin Till trying to close up the distance as well. Seeing both Pandacity cars within reach at the moment. He's got to focus on the charge, what he needs to do, as Chris Beermister also closes up at a rate of knot. Reginald Mutaleni late on the brakes to Chris Heineke, seeing the mistakes starting to creep in. He's hoping to get past that Nissan GTR as he dives towards the inside for the kink, and hoping to be on the inside come the bottom of the hill. But that Nissan GTR is monstrously quick. It knows how to slow down. Reg up the inside, gets it done and dusted, stops it dead on the apex and aims for Graham Kelly next. If he can keep this drive up, is in for a phenomenal treat as it stands. 33 cars still out on circuit, pushing what they can do right here for the round 1 of season 25 and hoping to make an impact. Benjamin Till, Chris Beermister all running in tow behind Ethan Lacuna and Hunty Myberg, who are not fighting one another, instead trying to pull each other along and get away from the fighting duo. Herman Repner all over Keegan Bowen at the moment, trying to push out a little bit harder and see where he can get that little bit more drive. Keegan currently leads the Pro-Am field with Hunty Myberg in second, Benjamin Till in third. Bego Krobler, Christoph Peterson and Henry Platt round out your top 3 at the moment for Pro. Yet none of them have done their pit stop. Werther down in 23rd position is the mark at the moment to see whether it's good to run that little bit longer, but we haven't even hit the 20 minutes mark yet. So far been 15 minutes of racing, and we've seen those early pit stops come into play. Hunty Myberg swapping around with Ethan to try and give him a little bit of room to run away. That backed up Benjamin Till and Chris Beermister into his bumper as well. Jeremiah, who's turned round waiting for the field on the apex, trying to reverse it back just to clear the traffic, as Kevin Pickery, Christian Zetzman, Victor D and William Wentworth come charging on by as they want to try and not get caught up in too much of an issue right now, hoping to stretch their legs a little bit more. Graham Kelly out there for the RAV AMR, immediately having the pressure from the internal server era of Reginald Mutaleni and Chris Heineke of Griffin Sim Racing, who are hoping to get in tow. It's going to be Reginald around the outside. He cut back for the slipstream. He's got pressure from behind from the likes of Chris Heineke. He's got to choose the line. Heineke looks for the inside. Reg trying to look for the inside. Second guessed it down the straight, and that's going to cost him severely as he loses out to Heineke and Jack Dotz around the outside. Jack clears him, and Reg, with that second guess down the main straight, was not sure to go for the move, backed out of it, went for it, backed out of it, and ultimately lost out 2 positions in one fell swoop. Couldn't get committed to the line, was hoping to pull that draft a little bit further into the corner and try and see if it's going to work out for him. Unfortunately, not to be this time round, and now has to go through the hard work to get back onto the climb. Herman Ripner, Keegan Bowen now running in tow. Keegan holding on to that top 6 at the moment. Still needs to keep an eye on Hansi Myberg and Benjamin Till that are making up a little bit of room, but Benjamin calls up to Hansi Myberg and looking to go onto the attack. This is a fight for second and third position as it stands in the Pro-Am division, and seeing where exactly they're going to filter through during the course of the race. So it's some tough racing out there, and drivers trying to see what they can do. Dylan Hall a little bit further down the pack at the moment, keeps an eye, sees Jaco Nadir and sees Ruben Heineke, his teammate, trying to make up a bit of time in the Sarko colours, and Griffin Sim Racing, Ruben Heineke all over Jaco Nadir as much as possible to see where he can get that little bit of clear on. Dylan a little bit slower through the corners this time around, and something tells me he's just not quite comfortable with the car at the moment. Reginald Muttolini into the pits, William Wentworth into the pits as well. So we're seeing more of the drivers deciding they're losing time getting into the pits. Graham Kelly under pressure from Jack Darts up on the inside. Jack not late enough on the brakes. Kelly able to keep the momentum. This allows Heineke to break away from the two as quick as possible. Buerta all over the back of Jeffrey LaRue. Team Kerigma Racing, the KSR team, trying to push that a little bit further up the road. Can't get past the Griffin Sim Racing as yet, as LaRue holds the apex. Despite the poor drive, decides to hold the apex. Keeps the likes of Jean-Ray Buerta at bay, who was hoping to go for the cutback and seeing a little bit of room. Unfortunately, not to be the case. And we'll have to give it that little bit more of a push. Drivers all going through the pits yet again. Jason Abschmeier trying to make up some lost time after a bit of a horrendous start to his race. Outbraking himself into turn 1 and into the side of the likes of Christoph Peterson, who's up into second place. Jack Darts and Graham Kelly continue to put pressure on one another. Drivers now starting to settle into their groove as we do see Jack get unsteady on the exit. A beautiful save, but lost out a tremendous amount of time under braking. Keegan Moen trying to defend at the moment, feeling a lot of pressure as we jump on board the rear wing and see the fight going on right behind him. Herman hunting down left, right, and center at the moment to try and clear on by as quick as possible. Hansi Myberg's got the same problem from Chris Biermeister as the teammates are fighting in two different battles right now. Hansi Myberg of the Pandacity trying to really stretch open the gap to Chris Biermeister and see where exactly can he make up some time. Knowing Benjamin Till is within earshot of him at the moment. BMW lurking, waiting for his opportunity to come on by. Chris Biermeister late on the brakes, turns in a little bit early, down the gears into second, got the drive. Hansi Myberg battles out of the corner. Chris nowhere to go, however. We'll have to slot back in, and we got a drive through. First drive-through of the season goes to Jack Dots. Hansi Myberg sinks it too deep into the corner and caught into the wall. Benjamin Till capitalizes. Hansi, with a bit of front-end damage to his car, is now down to third place and has to be so careful not to have that happen again. Otherwise, he risks throwing himself out of the top 3 on his grand return. But that, unfortunately, was that. Sunk it in a little bit deep. The 526 car not able to keep it all in check right at the last. And coming onto the circuit yet again, the frustration definitely is going to be brewing over at a rate of knots. And right behind him, Sean Lerrero closed up as well, jumping over those curbs, taking a little bit towards the track limits, however, and just trying to push that a little bit harder to see where exactly can he make up the distance. The question is, will Sean Lerrero be able to clear by as quick as possible? And he does get past during the replay He was able to get on by Sean Herrera, part of the Pro Division. So no fight for Hunty at the moment. Graham Kelly's going to be the next one. He's a little bit further down the road. But Jack Dart doing his drive-through penalty. And, well, I think with that rear wing saying, relax, bro, on the back, well, I think the pits are saying the exact same thing to him. Relax, bro. You got that drive-through. Now you need to just cope with it and carry on moving. Jason Farmer onto the back of Henry Platt, looking for the inside line. No drive as yet. Top 3 on the cards. Jason Farmer has been in a bit of a rough spill at the moment and trying to keep it all in check. And we did get a shot of Ricky into the pits. So he's now going and serving a drive-through penalty as well as his pit stop. So it was a little bit too much over the curbs. And we'll have to go through the pits for a third time during the course of this race. It is going to be a tough run for Jason Farmer on Henry Platt at the moment. Mounting over the curbs. First time in the Lexus, though, is still trying to get to grips with the car for the Griffin Sim Racing team. Henry Platt trying to push a little bit harder as well in the Bentley Continental. There's only 2 of them lurking around, and both drivers are seeing where exactly they can end up. And that is, at the moment, Michael Berg trying to push in 32nd position. Henry Platt a little bit further up the road in 3rd, defending against Jason Farmer. Lots and lots of support coming in for the Pandacity team, the Griffin Sim Racing team, and many, many more hoping to see their drivers do well for the start of the season. But there is still plenty of racing to go on as Platt mounts over the curbs, seeing where he can break away from Farmer, who's doing the exact same thing, mimicking move after move at the moment, trying to see where he can make up time. And it's going to be Jason Farmer who takes a very tight inside line. Once again, quite aggressive over those curbs, hunting it down. Farmer showing a new line of aggression at the moment, trying to see where he can make up that little bit of time. However, it is going to be Henry Platt. But indicator on, Henry Platt's going to be giving him 3rd place. Decides that Farmer's pushing hard. He's going to rather utilize a toe. Interesting to see that coming into play. Good to see the drivers utilizing the indicators to show where they're going to be. And on the opposite side, drivers need to pass. And Jason Farmer with a quick hazard light saying thank you very much, with a flash coming from Henry Platt. So the 2 of them going and now deciding to rather back each other up instead of fight each other out to see if they can close the distance. Herman Whitner up on the inside of the likes of Keegan Bone, was able to get the pass done eventually, both getting close to the fringe of the circuit, with Herman Whitner just narrowly missing the dirt, while Keegan going and just putting some dirt on his car on that wheel drop-off. LaRue currently holds on to those that have completed their first stop ahead of Jean-Ray Berta as they try and make up a bit of time. This is going to be an interesting drive, but we've got problems for Jack Darts into the dirt and now trying to get himself restarted. Ricky caught into pit lane with a stop-go 30 for speeding in the pits. That is detrimental. Not only a drive-through was done, but also getting a stop-go 30 on top of it as well. Ricky having a night to forget. Ulrich Diaga all over the back of Jean-Ray Berta, trying to close up the distance as it stands. Both drivers seeing where exactly can they make up the time. Reginald Mutaleni got Gerald Pretorius on the back of him. Ruben Heineke just within arm's reach, trying to push that a little bit harder and see where exactly can he make up the time. But the Mustang of Gerald Pretorius going and hunting down left, right, and center. Reginald gets it sideways, and Gerald's going to put his nose in, sends it on the inside, says, thank you very much, Reg. You are now going to follow me. Reginald Mutalini trying to go for the cutback. Stood on the gas quite a bit early there, hoping that the lack of traction control can work out. Late on the brakes, both are not giving an inch. Reginald brakes a little bit harder, but it is going to be Gerald Pretorius a little bit out of shape as they hunt their way down into Aqua Minerali, and it's got to be Gerald just ahead of Reginald Mutalini, pushing a little bit more. Got that pass done and dusted, and now needs to focus on closing up to the Griffin Sim Racing team of Ren Heineke. A little bit further up ahead, so the two teammates need to now focus on working with one another. But to the lead of the race, Bego Krobler and Christoph Peterson have now closed up on one another and starting to make their way up to the back markers. Is it going to be a move for Peterson to send it down and try and get the pass as quick as possible, or is he going to wait it out a little bit longer behind Bego Krobler, see if he can save that lap of fuel? Can he go and wait out that little bit more? But they are catching up to the 38 car, and that is Jaco Nadir, who we know is in a fight with Reginald Mutaleni and Gerald Pretorius as it stands. And if these two leaders can't clear a pass as quick as they would like, they're about to get a whole lot of wake-up calls trying to pass a field that is in an absolute brawl at the moment. Keegan Bowden leads out the Pro-Am. Benjamin Till with Hansi Myberg in third place for the Pro-Am. All three yet to do the pit stop. Graham Kelly, Christian Zetzman, and the likes of Pickery a little bit further down. Mr. D a little bit with Velatham, and Ulrich Diaga trying to make up some time. Anton Lummers a little bit further back as well. Krobler, Peterson, along with Farmer Platt, Jared Becum, Herman Whitner. Our top six running in the Pro Division continue to try and keep themselves at bay, focusing on the lap times and not going and hunting down all too hard. Peterson waiting for his time. Bego Krobler, who's not going on the defensive approach. He is now just trying to bite it out. Well, never mind. Look to try and go the inside, switch back to the racing line, and hoping that Peterson is just going to work with him during the back marks at this point, see where they can make up some time, and also to be cautious of the pit stop coming through in the very, very near future. The track temperature at the moment is 26 degrees, which is on the cooler of the end for the drivers to try and save their tires a little bit more and see if they can possibly run the tire stop on the second run. And we do have a car into the weeds, and that is William Wentworth, who had a problem and back to pits. The 555 having an issue. Let's quickly go on board and see what happened with William Wentworth. Up into second, third, and all looking okay, and then just backed off a lot, allowed the drivers to come through. And this was the first of the problems. This was his first yellow flag. That was for him lifting to allow the drivers to come through. And what on earth happened to him the second time around? Over the curb, fourth gear. He can only go up gears. He can't go down. William Wentworth can't shift down gears. Mechanical failure for William Wentworth. And that, unfortunately, is a mechanical failure. And Wentworth now into the pits. The team will be frantically trying to get that car going. But our first mechanical failure of the season. And it came through to the gearbox. Not able to go down the gears. He could only go up. And unfortunately, that is a nightmare. Once he hooked it up to sixth, that was game, set, match for him to try and keep going. So far, two drivers are in the pits. Ricky is a retirement. William with a frantic work on his car to try and get himself going, as Benjamin Till falling off the circuit. That allowed Sean Loureiro to clear on by and continue on. So Loureiro saying thank you very much on that easier overtake and keeps it going. Michael Berg still circulating out on circuits. Got Hansi Myberg for a bit of company behind him. And Hansi will be going and saying, come on, Racing Snail, you got the blue flag. Give me a little bit of room here. I need to try and make up a bit of ground. But at the moment, Michael holds his line, being predictable and just continuing on the drive. Will provide the tow, and maybe when Hansi's a bit closer, will be able to give him a little bit of room to overtake. However, it's going to be a tough time. Benjamin Till into the pits, going and getting his pit stop done and dusted. Hansi going and launching on by will keep in the run for second place. Keegan Bowen pulling himself along with him, getting a little bit of sideways momentum as well behind the Ferrari late on the acres to try and close the distance properly, going and pushing a little bit harder. Christian Zetzman out on circuit with Kevin Pickery and Jason Absmeyer able to gain a position after their seeing the competition in the pits, and Jason Absmeyer, after his mistake at the start, is now trying to make up the little bit of run. Keegan Bowen and Whitner continue on their charge. Bager Krobler and Christoph Peterson. Next up, see Jaco Nadir ahead of them, and will be keeping a very close eye at the field at the moment, because Benjamin Till currently trying to see where he's going to work out. Jeffrey LaRue will be the first one to keep an eye out for in those that have done their first pit stop, and is currently running in 17th position and continues to be a viable threat for the front pack. Bager, Krobler and Peterson trying to brake a little bit later and not going as aggressive over the curbs as yet. Jaco Nadir moves over to the left-hand side, allowing our leaders to clear on through without too much of an issue, and seeing that Peterson got the better drive, unfortunately just couldn't capitalize on it. Chris Beermister into the pits. Lorero gains a position. Keegan Bowen and Whitner continue on their charge to one another. Victor D, new driver to the field, out there in the Nissan GTR, is keeping on the back of a veteran driver, Ulrich Diaga. Both drivers concentrating on their lap times at the moment. Victor needing to pull into the pits to get his first pit stop done. Ulrich Diaga has done his first pit stop and now just waiting towards the end to see when he can do his final pit stop of the race. Keegan Bowen and Urban continue on their drive. Christoph Peterson continuing to see where exactly he can make up that time. How far can he go up the road? And it's going to be a tough time. And it's going to be a real race to the line at the moment. So it is going to be a wild run. The question is, can these two continue to stretch out the gap? And they're going to run those stops a lot closer towards the end. Is the double pit going to work out for them, or is it going to land up in a problem? Dylan Hall trying to stretch his legs at the moment, getting ahead of Ruben Heineke. Jared Pretorius right behind. Reginald Mutileni up into 25th, and Jaco Nadir a little bit further down. But let's take a look who's gained the most and lost the most here on the grid at the moment. And the most gains, believe it or not, is the new driver to the grid. In the Pro-Am field, it's Victor D, up 16 positions from where he started. He started 33rd. Right at the back, he's up into 17th at the moment and continuously running to try and push out a little bit more. For those that are still running out on circuit, it is going to be Ruben Heineke, who's up into 18, he's down 18 positions as it stands. Started in 5th place, was part of a monster crash at the start that's going to cost him, and now just trying to hunt his way back up through the grid. Jason Absmeyer onto the back of Kevin Pickery at the moment, and seeing where he can try and close up the difference. The Togo Academy car of Kevin Pickery hoping to just keep ahead of Jason Absmeyer that little bit longer, but Absmeyer, part of the Pro Division, will want to clear the Pro-Am driver Kevin Pickery, who is chasing down Christian Zetzman 7 seconds up the road. Graham Kelly into the pits to try and get his stop done. And immediately Absmeyer stuck, looking around the outside, looks for the cutback on Kevin. Can he get the drive? Not to have it happen, as Absmeyer getting fouled up through the hairpin, had to slow it down quite a bit and dropping back nearly 0.8 of a second. Ruben Heineke and Dylan Hall running line astern at the moment, trying to push themselves a little bit more. Heineke looked towards the inside, but doesn't want to go on the attack just as yet, hoping that Dylan Hall is going to pull him a little bit closer at the moment. Kevin Pickery giving a little bit of room for Jason Absmeyer, and we've got yellow flags for Reginald Mutileni going and landing into the dirt. The 777 into the dirt, trying to get himself going. And what on earth happen to Reginald Muttolini. Let's jump on board with a helmet cap as he aimed towards turn 4. All looking to be well. Oh, clipped the curb, lost it big time. Was able to just save the car from going towards the wall, bouncing around. Jaco Nudia close to the nose, was able to keep himself on check. It's a great to see drivers pushing that little bit more. Christoph Peterson back into the fight with Bego Krobler, who's all over the curves, both of them pushing harder and harder at the moment to see where on earth can they get some climb. Sean Loureiro into pit lane. But it is going to be a tough time. We have got one driver who has done both his pit stops, and that's Anton Lammers, who has decided to get his pit stops out of the way and will be racing through to the end. Loureiro and Hall are going to do the exact same move now to see whether they can gain some positions. With 42 minutes left in this race, it is still a long one indeed to see what comes in. But big calls coming in. Jason Farmer into the pits. Platt stays out. Will Jared Bakum also continue? Reginald into the pits. Jared's going to keep going. And Herman Whitner as well. Keegan Bowen stays out for the Pro-Am, hoping to stretch open that gap. Second place of the Pro-Am is Christian Zetzman, with Kevin Pickery running third place of the Pro-Am as it stands. But Farmer, out of the top 5, first to pit. Is he going for that earlier pit stop to get ahead of Jeffrey LaRue, who currently holds those that have completed their first pit stop? And it's a good tell here. The two teammates can communicate to one another, let each other know where exactly on the circuit are they to come into play. Chris Heineke is going to be doing the exact same move to see where it's going to work out for them. So Christian Zetzman gains a position over Farmer. Jason Absmeyer gains a position back on Farmer as he charges through into 9th position, back into the top 10 after losing out. Now remember, after the contact in turn 1, he did land up towards 30th position and now trying to work his way through. Farmer comes out of the pit behind Victor D, who is on the charge. Ulrich Diago, a little bit further up the road, has done his pit stop along with LaRue. So both drivers of the Griffin Sim Racing team have gotten ahead of Jason Farmer and now look to try and stretch open the gap a little bit more. Ulrich Diaga's got the pressure of Victor D at the moment, and Jason can provide that little bit of backup to try and foul them up. Heineke, Chris Heineke and Ren Heineke into the pits, and along with Jeremiah Velatham into the pits as well. So pit stops being made, calls are being made, and who is going to work their way to the top? It's Lammers, Hall and Muttolini that have completed all their pit stops. They're going to be charging their way through to the end, and it's going to be a long race indeed. 40 minutes of nose to tail at the moment, and seeing where exactly can they get the edge over the competition and how far they're willing to go. But interesting call coming in from Jason Farmer. He was stopped in the box for 34.5 seconds. For anyone that isn't quite sure what that means in the world of ACC, it is a tire and fuel stop. So he's replaced his tires and he is now going back out. So he's on a new set of rubber, trying to get it up to temperature and hoping to close up the distance. And it's going to be a double stop for Jason Farmer. Christian Zetzman, Jeffrey LaRue, and Ulrich Diaga into the pits. A big call coming in for the Griffin Sim Racing team to chuck all their drivers, or most of their grid, into the pits. Peterson onto the back of Bego Krobler, going and seeing there's a pit stop for Gerard Pretorius in his rearview mirror. But these two now gaining a lap over Jason Farmer will have to keep that well enough in mind. Not only will they fight each other out for a little bit longer, but Farmer has done both his pit stops and is continuing on the drive. Henry Platt, Jared McComb, Herman Wepner are yet to do their pit stops. Keegan Bowen and Kevin Pickery, along with Victor D at the moment, are yet to do their first pit stop, while Conrad Martin and Christian Zetzman have gone and done their first pit stops. They have done those routes and continuing on the drive. Ulrich de Jager, the only Pro-Am driver to have done his pit stops completed, will continue on to push a little bit more. Oh, speaking about that, Gerald Pretorius as well, going to be one of those drivers to see where it goes. Herman into the pits, Keegan into the pits. The two of them have been brawling out all race long, and both deciding at the same time into the pits. As we do see Peterson look to the outside, no room to go, keeps the pressure onto the back of Bego Krobler, both mounting those curbs, flirting with the track limits at the moment. The stewards will be running very, very closely at their monitors, trying to see if they've gone over just that little bit more and see if they will be handing out any penalties on the ride. Chris Biermeister turned around the Extreme Sim Racing, unfortunately having a tough time out there, going and bouncing over the curbs, rejoins the circuit into 14th position, and a big call coming in. Bego Krobler into the pits. Peterson continues on the drive. He's going to push a little bit longer. Will Platt go into the pits? He's going to decide to stay out that little bit more. Jared Bakum is going to be the next one. Will he join his teammate in pit lane? And yes, he is. That's going to allow Ethan Lacuna to gain a little bit of time on him. And Ethan hoping to stay in for the fight. Jason Amsmeyer up into 6th place is going to run a little bit closer to what Peterson's strategy is. Go as far into the race as possible and pit last minute to get it done. Victor D leads out our Pro-Am field, yet to do his pit stop. Conrad Martin in 2nd place with Keegan Bowen up into 3rd place as it stands. Try to push himself out a little bit more and see where it's all going to work out for them. The drivers hoping to see it all to the end. Christian Zetzman and Graham Kelly pushing on one another, with Zetzman keeping Kelly honest at the moment, looking left, looking right, goes towards the inside line, late on the brakes, but it is going to be Kelly to hold the line, and Kelly making sure. So Graham Kelly making a rather bold move to defend a little bit harder against Christian Zetzman, was able to get it stopped on the apexes, and these two Aston Martins brawling yet again. Jason Absmeyer up into 4th place ahead of Bego Krobler. Jeremy Coombe in pit lane still going on. Bego Krobler, change of tyres on his car. 32.4 seconds in the box. Just a refuel and tyres to get himself back up and going on a fresh set of rubber. Absmeyer trying to get a little bit more drive. Was only stopped in the pits for 4.1, but remember, he was not straight. That means pit stop did not count, and he will have to do both pit stops yet again, making it 3 stops in his race, and going to be really gritting his teeth on this one. As Graham Kelly hoping to try and keep ahead of Christian Zetzman, who is all over the back of him, and you can see the relaxed bro on the back of Graham Kelly's car getting bigger and bigger under braking, as Christian trying to see how he could close the distance up through the final corner. Ruben Heineke also having a tough time out there. Didn't quite get the drive he needed out of the chicane, and it's going to be Jack Darts in through the dirt, trying everything he can to keep his McLaren in check, still trying to get to grips with it and push a little bit harder. New to the grid, but still circulating. William Wentworth out with mechanical failure. Ricky, who decided enough is enough after a bit of a rough race, will be going and finishing in 32nd position, but we do have a car that's unfortunately retired. We had 33 drivers, remember. It's gone down. Jeremiah Valenthin into the pits from likes of 26th. He's lost out to Dylan Hall and Yaku India at the moment, and will be just trying to focus on his drive. But Jason Farmer is definitely going to be one to keep a very close eye on for our leaders. And why I say that, as we do get reports of 149, that's Anton Lammers, one of our first cars to complete all the pit stops, who landed up into the wall. Lammers, with a big mistakes in the 149 car, landed up into the wall. Let's quickly take a look at what happened there. So Bego Krobler onto the back of him, trying to see what happened under braking. Did he hook the curb? Yep, over the sausage curbs, spat him out into the wall. Unlike Reginald Mutaleni a little bit earlier, he just couldn't pull it out. Unfortunately caught the wall. We also got reports of the 163, and this is Conrad Martin with Reginald Mutaleni having a little bit of contact with one another. Bit of elbow to elbow between McLaren and Ferrari. These two drivers know each other all too well and where to push and defend. And Conrad Martin gets a little bit of an argy-bargy push coming in from Reginald Mutaleni, who will be saying, you got to leave the space. And Conrad Martin saying, yes, you got to leave the space off the back bumper as well. You can't just go and bump draft. Both drivers pushing as hard as they can. Both drivers getting a little bit argy-bargy out there. Anton Lummers is going to continue on to drive despite the damage to his car. He's going to circulate till the end and see it through right the way. Great to see. Zero quit in the drivers. The whole point with sim racing is you got to start, you got to see the green flag, and you got to see the checkered. As Jean-Ray Buerta trying to close up on Kevin Bickery and Benjamin Till trying to close up the gap. And that is Chris Beermister, who landed up with a bit of a mistake and getting overtaken by Jason Farmer at the moment. Jason Farmer, who's done all these pit stops up into 13th position, is 1 lap down on our leader. Well, 2 laps down on it. Will be 1 lap when he comes on by. It's on lap 26, going to 27. He's need to try and make up some time to Christoph Peterson and Henry Platt, who have lapped him, and now it's trying to open up the gap as well. Ethan LeCunnin into the pits and trying to get himself sorted out. Will Jason Abschmeyer think about doing a pit stop as well, seeing the drivers needing to do it? Christian Zetzman and Graham Kelly continue to keep each other busy and honest at the moment down the main straight. And it is going to be Kelly defending the inside line. He goes back to middle, goes to the outside, and it's going to be Zetzman up on the inside. Can he get it done? Unfortunately, Christian could not go and get on the anchors fast enough to clear on by. And first of the Zetzman brothers out and really charging through. Jean-Ray Buerta getting past Kevin Pickery, who gives him a little bit of a easier pass, and Benjamin Till as well. And Pickery losing out the time has just lost out to Benjamin Till in the same class at the moment, and is going to have to keep the pressure on. Looks towards the inside, no room to come on by. The Toga Racing just not able to get past as yet, as we do see Victor D into the pits. Conrad Martin, Herman Whitner all continuing to go that little bit more. And it is going to be an interesting run, because is Keegan Bowen going to do the same? Keegan's going to keep his foot in it that little bit longer and trying to close up to Conrad Martin, who's got Herman Whitner of the Extreme Sim Racing team all over his back bumper, trying to figure out where to go on by. As Herman looks towards the inside line, he's going to go a little bit late on the brakes. Tried everything he could over the curbs, not able to get it done. And too much curb, lands into the dirt. Christoph clears on by, and Herman going and keeping right on the back, unfortunately missing the brake marker, has now got the Team Wolf driver of Jared McComb all over the back of him, and Keegan Bowen closing up as well in that. So one little mistake over these sausage curbs has shown to be detrimental to races. Whether you're going to lose time or whether you're going to land up in the wall is depending on which corner you get it all wrong. And at the moment, Jared's going to be trying to push that a little bit more onto Herman, see where he can clear on by as quick as he can, and hope to close up distance. Jason Absmeyer into the pits to try and see if it's going to work out. Bego Krobler sets the fastest lap time of the race on the new set of rubbers, is up into third. 52 seconds off the back of Henry Platt. Jared McComb looks to try and clear on by. Herman keeps the pressure on down into so one. Is able to get it done and dusted. Herman had to back off there. A little bit of pressure on the door between them, but it's now all chasing. Conrad Martin into the pits. Keegan retakes the lead for the Pro-Ams at the moment and will be focusing on his charge. Now, this is an interesting call. Conrad Martin is completing all his pit stops and will be having a go. But can he get out ahead of Ulrich Diago, who's completed all these pit stops as well? So this is going to be a chase down to the wire for drivers to see what's going to work out. Where are they going to come out on top? And it's always a tough call indeed for race managers. Herman fighting out against Jared McCorm, and that allows the likes of Keegan Bones to get on the back of him. Now Keegan has two options right now: join in the brawl and see if he can make up time, or is he going to just rather wait it out, allow the pros to duke it out between one another and not get involved in the fight? That could throw him offline, but at the time they are losing time with one another and costing the likes of Keegan Bone a lot of time to move forward through the pack. Hard on the brakes, big send for Jared McCorm, and it's going to be Herman Whitner seeing where he can make up that little bit of room. Christian Zetzman has a bit of a look on Jeffrey LaRue. Braked himself, unfortunately, was a near miss, and here comes Ulrich Diago around the outside. He's going and really putting the pressure on Zetzman at the moment, who walks him to the fringes of the circuit. Remember, Diago's done all his pit stops. The last thing he wants to do is get caught up in a problem. Christian, however, is going to push harder and harder. He's yet to do his final stop, and he wants to try and maintain as much pace as possible. Nothing says you got to back off and allow the drivers to come through. You are fighting for position out on circuit. You're on the same lap. There's no blue flags. You are fighting for overall position. Dylan Hall into the pits with a drive-through penalty, and it looks like he has retired the car as well, making it our third driver going and pulling it, our fourth driver pulling into the pits and retiring for the race. And that is an absolute blow to go and see. After trying to make up that little bit of time, Dylan Hall was on the push, but unfortunately the drive-through penalty came into play. The team decided, instead of going and busting the car further, let's rather go and park it. I'd rather like to see all those cars back on circuit, because you still score points just by finishing the race. So by just circulating, just seeing it through to the end, you do score points for the championship and continue to have your foot in it during the course of season 25 of the EG Evolved ACC GT3 Championship. And this is round one at Imola. There is still another 7 rounds to go afterwards for the drivers to see where it's going to work out in their favor and who can walk away with a crown in both the Pro and Pro-Am division here on stream, and our Am and Gold a little bit further down as well. So great to see drivers still pushing as hard as they can. However, there is going to be that little bit of a go. Anton Lummers continues to circulate at the moment, and with that damage to the car, he is working incredibly hard to keep it in check. You could see how the understeer starting to mount little by little, and a bit of a bend in the steering as well, as he tries to limp this car through to the end. Zero quit in it, and wants to see him to get to the top of the run. Ulrich Diago keeps on the back of Christian Zetzman. The two of them fighting out for class position at the moment. Keegan Bone leads out the class, Zetzman in second, and Ulrich Diago in third as it stands. Christoph Peterson and Henry Platt yet to do their mandatory first pit stop, and it's Bego Krobler who holds on to third with the fastest lap, closing down. He's managed to close down about 2.5 seconds at the moment, seeing if it's going to work out. The 69 of Ruan Heineke unfortunately gets out of shape, and now trying to keep himself in check. Oh, another one! Oh, that tail snapping out underneath him after getting a little bit too hot. The rear snapping out and calling it a night as well. Too much of the damage to the car on the rears, giving up the ghost. And that is Ruan Heineke out. The Griffin Sim Racing team dropping out and falling over like flies at the moment. Hopefully they can get those cars back out, get the drivers motivated to get back out onto the circuit and carry on through. Not to end round 1 with a DNF, rather see it through to the end and see that checkered flag. Henry Platt gonna keep on going. Bago Krobler trying to make up some time as Jared Coombe and Herman Whitner keep each other in check. And Keegan Bowen gonna be hoping to hold on to that top 6 as Ethan Lacuna into the pits, getting his pit stop done and dusted, and that's going to be the end of his pit stop. Has he gotten out ahead of Jason Farmer? No, he's not. Farmer up into the top 10, continues to push on, 7 seconds off the back of Chris Heineke's Nissan GTR, and will be hoping to close that distance a little bit more. Benjamin Till all over the back of Jean-Ray Buerta, trying to see where exactly can he clear on by, and Buerta, who is part of the pro division, now just towing him along that little bit more. Benjamin Till hoping to get back into the top 3. He was fighting out for the lead of the race in the Pro-Am, but now just needs to spot where he needs to go, as we do see Bago Krobler utilizing the tow till the very last on Victor D, who lifts off, allows him to come on by. Bago Krobler once again still fighting to close up the gap. Victor, by lifting off, allowed Jean-Ray Buerta and Benjamin Till to close the distance. He minds out of the way for Buerta, and here comes Benjamin Till and immediately stops on through. Victor not fighting them, but rather just giving those positions at the moment and focusing on the drive, not wanting to fight it out just as yet, but they are in the same class as him. He still needs to do his final pit stop along with Kevin Pickery, but by backing off, he's allowed Kevin to get that little bit closer and in for the fight. Herman Whitner into the pits, as we do see one of our drivers exiting pit lane, and who may that be? That might be Ren Heineke, and it is Heineke who's going to be getting back onto circuit, which is fantastic to see. He clipped the dirt, he went in the wall, he decided that, well, that was probably it, but gets immediately back onto track and is going to see it through to the end. I tip my hat to you, sir. I tip my hat, as he, near miss into Jason Farmer, trying to get those ice-cold tires back up to temperature and see it through to the end. I take my hat off to any of the drivers that can come back from the brink like that to go and shrug it off and see it through. Every time you get across that line, every position you may gain by just circulating is a few extra points in the championship that may be the make or break for the championship. We've seen in the past that drivers have had a single point separating them, and Christian Zetzman gets a drive-through penalty trying to defend against Ulrich Diaga. Zetzman got a drive-through penalty. That is going to be 3 runs through the pits, and Zetzman, who was on the climb, who had the chase, who had it all, unfortunately was a little too greedy on the curb, and the stewards came back fighting, saying drive-through penalty. Now Ulrich Diaga is going to be hunting left, right and center, wanting to clear Zetzman as quick as he can. He knows that Zetzman has to get into the pits and has to do a drive-through, and does not want to have any time lost at the moment to Keegan Bowen, who still leads up the Pro-Am field as it stands and will continue to try and open up the distance as well. So going through our top 10 as it stands, it's Christoph Peterson in first place, Henry Platt in second, Bago Krobler up into third, Jared McComb in fourth, Keegan Bowen, Sean Loureiro, Jason Absmeyer, Chris Heineke, Jason Farmer and Chris Biermester round out your top 10 as it stands. But remember that there is 9 drivers out of the top 10 that are yet to get into the pits. Ethan Lacuna in 11th, along with Herman Whitner, Jeffrey LaRue, Ulrich Diaga as Christian into the pits, and that is going to drop him down the order as Jean-Ray Buerta, Benjamin Till, Victor D, Kevin Pickery, Conrad Martin, Gerald Pretorius, Jaco Nadir, Anton Lummers, who's in 23rd, has got Reginald Mutileni all over the back of him. Lummers, who's got damage. Mutileni, who's just throwing the car around at this point, trying to keep himself in check and having a tough time out there, as Jack Darts in 25th, along with Michael Berg, who keeps on going and being consistent. I've got to say, he's one of the drivers from the Racing Snails, and one of the drivers that we've seen through a variety of seasons that has just kept circulating no matter what. Unless it was mechanical, he just kept it going and focusing on the drive. And that's what you need to do. Keep your head in it. Ruben Heineke into the pit lane, went out and is back into the pits. I wonder what on earth happened to Heineke, and did he just call it quits? Did the team say that there's something wrong with the car? Hopefully they can get him back out, see the end of this race, but I do think he's in for a really, really rough time in the pit there, just waiting it out and seeing what's happening with his teammates out on circuit. Will be trying to go to the pit wall to see if he can help out, but it would be lovely to see him out onto the circuit. Christoph Peterson and Platt are only two drivers in the entirety of the field that are yet to do their two remaining pit stops. Everyone else has done their first pit stop or have completed both pit stops. So Platt waiting out behind Peterson, 23 seconds back, is running into a very, very difficult time as Bathurst slowly chipping away at that lead. Down to 47.6 seconds with 17 minutes to go. A double stack is going to be a difficult one to pull off for the drivers, and at the same time they are reducing their chances of putting a fresh set of slicks on these cars to carry on going. So this is going to be an interesting call for Platt and Peterson, who continue on that drive on old rubber. They will be feeling it as we do see Christian Zetzman into the pits. He's going to be doing his final pit stop of the race. Jack Darts down in 25th will be looking to gain a position as he's lightning down in towards the final sector, hoping that he can just gain a position, but yet he is also to do a final pit stop. 16 minutes left in this race, and it's going to be a late call for the drivers. Jason Absmy into pit lane. He's deciding to get it done and dusted, and that allows Jason Farmer up into 8th position, who leads out those that have done their pit stops. Ethan Lacuna, along with him, Whipner, Jeffrey LaRue are continuing their charge. Ulrich de Jager, it leads out the Pro-Ams, have done their first pit stop, but is quite a pace off the leader of the Pro-Ams at the moment. So each of the drivers seeing what's going to work out for them, trying out different strategies. Everyone just throwing darts against the dartboard on the wall and seeing what's going to work out for them. Absmy coming out of the pits now will fall down into 14th position and has got a little bit of work on his hand. Victor D into the pits. Benjamin Till keeps the pressure on to Jean-Ray Buerta as it stands. He currently holds 3rd place behind Ulrich de Jager. They got the gap to Kevin Pickery about 8 seconds up the road, but Benjamin Till hunting down the rear Jean-Ray Buerta at the moment, who is just going and pushing that little bit more. So Team Kerigma Racing getting behind Jean-Ray Buerta, saying go, 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 focus on your drive. Pickery still needing to do his final pit stop, and so is Jack Darts as well, to get their stops done and dusted, but they are in a very difficult pack. Chris Biermester needing to do one more stop, is sitting in 9th at the moment, and any stop now will throw him down. Chris Heineke pulls into the pits, and he decides enough is enough. Gets himself in, will be looking to get himself out ahead of the pack. Peterson still continues to go as he hunts on by. Henry Platt in 2nd place. Still, both drivers have not done their pit stops. 14 minutes to go, and I do say, and I'm going to really put my foot in my mouth here, I don't think they've given themselves the opportunity to change to a new, fresh set of slicks, with Bathurst becoming a more and more viable threat. He's now down to 45.4 seconds. The lap times between them on the last lap, Platt was down to a 142.3. Bago was a 141.8. Christoph Peterson was a 141.8. So he's still able to hold a good bit of pace underneath him. But Platt is definitely starting to feel those aged tires by quite a bit and is falling off the mark right now. He's trying to see where it's going to work out in his favor. However, it is not done just yet. Benjamin Till all over the back of Jean-Ray Buerta. Still the two fight it out, pushing a little bit more. Unfortunately, we have got a number of retirements. Ruan Heineke, Dylan Hall, William Wentworth, Ricky Beckler being those sitting in the pits and unfortunately out of the race for various reasons. William Wentworth, we saw with a gearbox failure, was not able to go down the gears. He was only able to go up the gears. And that is going to be one that unfortunately is our first retirement for mechanical failure on his car. Conrad Martin now closes up the gap to Kevin Pickery and seeing where he can try and clear on by. Right behind him, Gerard Pretorius will also be looking to see where he can strike. Kevin holds the inside, switches back to racing line. Conrad Martin looked towards the inside line, backed out of it, however, and would rather just wait that little bit more, seeing where exactly can he get the momentum on Kevin at the moment. Benjamin Till going down into the final sector, final 3 corners, and he wasn't able to close up too much to Jean-Ray Buerta, but will just keep a very close eye on the run. So hoping to keep in that slipstream, pull himself along. He knows that Ulrich Dialga is up the road at the moment, is a little bit of a distance behind them, sitting roughly about 13 seconds behind Jason Abschmeyer, and sitting 14 going 15 seconds behind Ulrich Dialga. So Jason Abschmeyer is closing up the distance to Ulrich Dialga, but Ulrich has got no worry from Benjamin Till right now. He has gone that little bit earlier in the pits. He's cleared himself of the rest of the field and now just needs to keep circulating. Well, Benjamin Till and Jean-Ray Buerta working with one another, not striking one another. They're just trying to pull each other along and see where it works. Conrad Martin all over the back of Kevin at the moment, who's yet to do his final stop. The Toga Racing BMW having a bit of a problem from Conrad Martin as he runs out wide. Conrad trying to look to come back at him through Aqua Morali. Couldn't quite get the apex. He's going to hunt it yet again. Had to back it off quite a bit. That's allowed Gerard Pretorius to immediately get back into the tow. Pretorius now looks to push on, getting closer and closer to Conrad Martin. It is going to be a hunt for these two. Remember, Martin and Pretorius have both completed their pit stops. Both are racing till the end with 10 minutes and 52 seconds to go. It is still all or nothing on the cards for our Pro-Am division and our Pro division. Do not take it away. Bago Krobler, 43 seconds off the back of Platt. Platt, 27 seconds off the back of Peterson. And Platt and Peterson, the only 2 drivers in the entirety of the field yet to go visit pit lane and get their first stop underway. They are both feeling the pressure at the moment of where they need to go. As we jump on board, this is the front splitter, and you can see Pretorius lifts off a little bit early, focuses on the exit instead of the entry through the corners, and really gets the drive. Conrad Martin goes to defensive inside. He is trying everything he can. Martin sends it. Can he keep the drive? He manages to just slow down the Ferrari, but Gerard Pretorius put his nose in to see where he can get that drive. Peterson into the pits. Will Platt come through? Platt's going to go a little bit further into this race. The Bentley is going to push a little bit longer into the race. Where is Bago Krobler to Peterson? Can he close the distance up? Over the curbs he goes. Peterson in pit lane gets going, and that is a very, very short stop. That is literally just for fuel, and it's 9.9 liters dumped in the car. Well, 9.9 seconds. That's just fuel dumped in the car. He is on that old set of rubbers and now has got Bago Krobler hunting him down nearly 27 seconds off the back. And Bago Krobler on a fresher set of rubber will be now focusing on the charges. Peterson yet again has to go through the pits. It is 42 seconds in and out through pit lane, and that right there can be win or loss for our drivers. Platt still needs to go into the pits. He's running it a little bit further, hoping that he can just stretch the gap at the moment away from Peterson, who's 22 seconds off the back of him. Sean Lerero trying to push a little bit harder as Begor Krubler got a little bit slow through the corner and losing out a little bit of time. Conrad Martin, Gerard Pretorius brawling out with one another as they do have Kevin starting to open up that little bit of room to them. Kevin yet to pull into the pits, and it's going to be Gerard Pretorius who does everything he can and runs out a bit wide. Conrad Martin can't get past Kevin at the moment, who holds the apex. He holds that defensive line. Conrad Martin gets fouled up behind him. Can't get the drive out of the corner. That's brought Gerard back into contention, who was down after the last corner. And now this is going to be a bit of a frustration point for Conrad Martin, saying, come on, Kevin, I need to clear you as quick as possible. You still need to get into the pits. For Kevin, he's fighting overall track position. He has every right to keep that position and fight it through. Chris Biermeister pulling into the pits for his final stop. Gerard Pretorius slipped to the inside as Conrad Martin had to shift his focus to defend the middle line to try and see if he can hold back Gerard Pretorius just that little bit further at the moment. It is a race of note between drivers and seeing who gets going. But at the moment, Begor Krubler is running in third place. He is 20 seconds off the back. Jared McComb 40 seconds off the back of him. Our top six yet to pull in the pits. Keegan Bowen yet to pull in the pits. Ulrich Diaga's done all these stops. But Jason Farmer in 7th position is 16 seconds off the back of Sean Lerero. He is gaining time at the moment and is just keeping his foot firmly in it for a top 3. He's doing everything he can to try and make it happen. However, he needs to clear Sean Lerero, Keegan Bowen, Jared Beckham, and Begor Krubler before he can get it done. Keegan into the pits, and that is going to allow for Sean Lerero to come on by. The question is, Ulrich Diaga needs to get a little bit closer as he comes through Aqua Minerale. I don't think he's close enough to make the dent to Keegan Bowen, who ran the race a little bit longer and tried to push himself out a little bit further. Keegan Pickery, once again, still fighting it out. 6 minutes left in this race. He's got to start considering about that pit stop. Henry Platt into the pits to get his first stop out of the way. And it's going to be Christoph Peterson who comes on by. Michael Berg gives him a little bit of room for the inside line. And Peterson takes over the lead of the race yet again. Berg hangs in the slipstream, lifts off a bit early, does not want to go into Peterson, who already has visited the kitty litter once this race. He does not want to have it again. Begor Krubler is looking to clear on by Henry Platt as well. So Bego moves up towards 2nd position, but Henry Platt just exits pit lane. And where is the rest of the field? Jared Beckham is still miles off the back, as we did see Jason Abschmeyer clear Henry Platt. He is on an absolute charge to stay in 12th position. He wants to get back into the top 10. He is 8 seconds off the back of Ulrich Diaga as it stands. Conrad Martin still battling to clear Pickery as he keeps the drive on. And Benjamin Till stretches open that distance between them yet a little bit further. Gerard Pretorius is also having a tough time. Every time he strikes Conrad, he loses out to Kevin Pickery. Every time Conrad has a go at Kevin, he loses out to Gerard. It is a back and forth brawl between them, and Kevin Pickery is the cork in the bottle right now, keeping both at bay. Martin trying to get the drive up the hill they go. Has he got enough for the inside line? He backs off yet again and shifting his focus to the rearview mirror of Gerard Pretorius lurking in the wings. So currently, drivers that are still out on the circuit. Quick run through. It is Peterson up into first place. Begor Krubler in 2nd. Henry Platt, Jared McComb, and Sean Lerero that are yet to do their final pit stops. Jason Farmer holds on to 6th position with Ethan LeCurna and Herman Whitner all over the back of one another. trying to push out a little bit more. Extreme Sim Racing and the Pandacity going at one another. Herman Whitner, former driver of Pandacity, knows what he needs to do to try and clear through. He knows how much practice comes in, and he has also been putting in the exact same amount of practice, if not more at this point. But it's Ethan who is going to fight him tooth and nail at this point. Is going to give him a good run for the money, and both teams are going to see each other through to the run. But it's Keegan Bowen ahead of Ulrich de Jager, who's going to be smiling ear to ear on that one, as he currently still holds the Pro-Am lead. And Big Sin coming in for Whitner, door to door with Ethan, both run out a bit wide, and that is immediately going to cost him a bit of time. So Ethan Lacuna going and losing out to Herman Whitner. A little bit of a lean on the door there for both of them, and it was Christian Zetzman that had to come off the throttle and just give him a little bit of room. Sean Loureiro loses out to Jason Farmer as he does his final pit stop of the race, leaving our top four to get themselves sorted. There is Christoph Peterson into the pits with 2 minutes to go. This is it. You've got to get yourself in. Bego Krobler going to consider the pit stop, or is he going to go further? He's going to be into the box. So Christoph Peterson has got the advantage over Bego Krobler. Henry Platt is going to get into the box, and next to come through would be Jared Bekum, because there is no more run in this race for them to go an extra lap. Jason Farmer a little too far back to go and get ahead of Jared Bekum and Henry Platt at the moment. He's 27 seconds off the bat. He might get Jared, but Henry Platt has pretty much got that third place locked in at the moment and can focus on going for the podium. Peterson coming out of the pits. Krobler getting himself going. Platt waiting to be released at this point. And Jared Bekum into pit lane to complete his final stop. Kevin Pickery pulls into the pits as well as Sean Loureiro goes onto the attack with Jeffrey LaRue. Both of them fighting out for class position and overall, running 9th and 10th. Are they going to play nice with one another, or are they going to go and have gloves off racing? Looking at LaRue, try and go a little bit towards that inside line. He is going to make sure Loureiro has to earn his keep and see where it goes. Jason Farmer clears Jared Bekum. Anton Lummers gives a little bit of room for Jason Farmer to come on by, who's up into 4th place, 14 seconds off the back of Henry Platt. And it's Christoph Peterson who leads out the race. Krobler in 2nd. Jason Farmer in 3rd, followed by Jared Bekum, Herman Whitner, Ethan Lacuna. Leader of our Pro-Am is Keegan Bowen, followed by Ulrich de Jager in 2nd place. Benjamin Till holds on to 3rd for our Pro-Am. Conrad Martin, Gerard Pretorius going and brawling door to door, and it's Jack Darts with another drive through, and with next to no time left in the race, it is going to be pretty much him sorted out. And what a race it has been. Unfortunately, one to forget for Jack Darcy's debut run here in the world of Pro and Pro-Am here in RaceFace. Unfortunately, receiving 2 drive-throughs for track limits exceeded, and is going to try and see it through to the end. However, is needing to really focus on the drivers. Conrad Martin, Gerard Pretorius, they're fighting out for 4th in class, and they will still keep the pressure on. Loureiro right up the gearbox of Jeffrey LaRue, trying to see where he can go on by, but it's our leader on the final lap. Peterson getting a little bit unsteady coming out of turn 5 as he makes his way into the hairpin, and Bego Krobler 20 seconds off the back of him, currently holds on 2nd. Platt, who is currently in 3rd, has got 12 seconds back. Jason Farmer, it is 1 lap to go, and unless something goes wrong, both drivers will have to be pretty much content with their positioning. But a brawl out on circuit in the Pro-Am class. Conrad Martin and Gerard Pretorius, yet again, we're door to door. They're going to push that a little bit harder. They're going to see where it's going to work out. But it's going to be a big run for Conrad Martin to hold Gerard Pretorius at bay that little bit longer as they break into the chicane. Conrad leaps over the curbs and Gerard taking a little bit on the cautious approach. But round one, first race of 2026, goes through to not a South African, but goes through to the Germans. It is Christoph Peterson taking the victory here in the EG Evolved Season 25, Round 1, and going and getting a win for the Mercedes. Bego Krobler will be next up in the pros to get second place in the Ford Mustang. He tried running it a little bit early on strategy. Unfortunately, could not close the gap to Christoph Peterson. Will take second place. Henry Platt coming around will be smiling ear to ear on his run, getting a top 3 as well. And finally grabbing onto that third place in the Big Ben. Jason Farmer did everything he could in the new Lexus and unfortunately couldn't quite get the top 3, but showed his fight to get into 4th place. Jared McComb looking to close up the distance in 5th. Herman Whitner will be finishing up in 6th if he can keep it ahead of Ethan Lacuna to the end of the run. But Keegan Bowen, 3 seconds back, is going to be smiling for the victory in the Pro-Am. He's ahead of Ulrich Diaga. There is clean run between them. Keegan Bowen will take the victory in the Pro-Am class from a great run in qualifying to a great run in the race. He takes 8th overall, first in class, ahead of Ulrich Diaga in 2nd place, and Benjamin Till will take 3rd, as we did see Sean Larrea just send it into the wall. Jason Abschmeyer in 12th position, unfortunately dropping down 10 places after the contact and the pit stop not going his way. Benjamin Till takes 3rd in the Pro-Am. What a race and what a return here at RaceFace.Pro for the ACC GT3 Championship powered by EG Evolved. And here at Imola has always been a great race. It's always been fun to see. It's always given highs, lows, and drama-fueled racing. But what a drive from every single one of the drivers that managed to get across that line, pushing harder and harder and getting their first jump at the championship. And what a drive coming in from both the Pro and Pro-Am classes to make it work in their favor. So with that being said, we're going to give a little bit of time, see if we can catch up with some of the drivers to give us their thoughts of what happened out there, how did it go, and where exactly they see the season going in their favor, or if it's going to be a rough season of side-by-side brawling. I don't think there's anyone that's going to be more than happy to go and see this track in their review mirrors after a hard-fought fight nonetheless. So that being said, we're going to bring in a couple of our drivers, starting in with our Pro-Am. Let's bring in Benjamin Till, 3rd place in the Pro-Am. Benjamin, welcome to the commentary box and a 3rd place on the cards. How are you feeling after that race, after really going and taking the fight to the front end?
It was an awesome race. First time I've been on the podium, so I'm quite happy about that. Pro-Ams, let's get in.
And take us through that race, because it looked like there was no breathing room where it came to racing against your fellow competitors, but also in strategy, because we saw between you, Ulrich Diaga, Keegan Bowen, Conrad Martin, Gerard Pretorius, everyone trying different strategies. How was it for you in the car trying to figure out what to do?
Well, I'm going to get hold of Ulrich after this and ask him what he did, because he got well ahead of me out the pits, and then I was trying to catch him, but tires were going, so rather kept it on the track.
Well, it was great to see you going and pushing that little bit harder. And how are you feeling for the championship? Round 1, you managed to get it out on the podium. and now looking forward to the future races.
Let's not jinx it. Let's just keep it on the track for the rest of the season.
Take it race by race approach. Benjamin, before I let you go, since this is your first time out on the podium, and I've got to say the very few times you and I have actually been able to chat to one another, anything you would like to say to all the competitors, the teams, to everyone in the background, but most importantly, to the incredible fans that have rejoined us for season 25 and kept an eye here at Imola.
Oh, thanks for watching the stream. Thanks for having faith in us, to RaceFace for putting this on. It's not an easy one, I don't think, doing every season. And to my competitors, clean racing, boys. That was nice. Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you fighting out and hopefully gaining 2 more positions up for the next race at the Nürburgring. Benjamin Till going and having a great run out there, and what a drive on his part. But there can only be one winner. Benjamin Till got 3rd place. Let's have a chat to our winner of the Pro-Ams, and let's have a chat to Keegan Bone. Keegan, welcome to the commentary box, and a victory here at Imola, a great qualifying. How are you feeling after that?
It's very, very sweaty, very hot. I think Durban weather's trying to kill me. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm excited. It's a great start to the season. So yeah, hopefully it carries on that way.
Now, we did see you during the race getting into close brawls with the pro division and having to slack off a little bit. What was running through your mind, having to try and manage the gap between yourself, Ulrich Diago, and Benjamin Till, as well as compete with the pros that were fighting amongst one another, and you just seemed to catch up to them?
Well, yeah, I'm pretty much on pace with quite a few of the pros, as I was in pro last season. But obviously there's been a new ranking change, so I've had to now prove myself again. So yeah, doing the best I can, racing the big boys and trying to stay ahead of the little boys. So.
And with a victory now, how are you feeling with the championship here at the EG Evolved ACC GT3 Championship? It's 8 rounds worth of racing. Do you feel that you can hang on to the lead for the championship, or do you feel that the grid is going to be coming through at a rate of knots?
Well, I'll definitely do my best to stay ahead of everybody else. The only thing is I'm worried about next week's race. It's Nürburgring and I don't get along together, but Zandvoort I've won before, also in the same bracket. So I know end of the season I'm really good and happy to go. So I guess it's just going to be the mid-season that we're going to figure out where I fit in. But yeah, hoping to stay ahead of the field.
It's going to be an interesting one indeed. Keegan, before I let you go, anything you want to say to the teams, the drivers out there, and to the legendary race fans joining us for a 25th season here at RaceFace.Pro?
Oh, well, I appreciate all the support from everyone. My dad and supporting us with Mad Mobile, as you can see in the back wing there. And my teammates constantly keeping me in the loop on the track, what's happening, what crashes, who's slow. So yeah, I appreciate all the support and all the help. It definitely did keep me out of the fray in the beginning of the race. So yeah.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. Keegan Bone taking the victory in the Pro-Am, and congratulations yet again. Absolutely wonderful to have a chat to our Pro-Am drivers, and also to hear very positive about the championship going forward. With that being said, let's move on to our Pro Division. Let's get 3rd place. Henry Platt's coming to have a chat to us. Henry, welcome to the commentary box. 3rd place here at RaceFace.Pro, but you've been brawling with the 2 other drivers in other leagues as well. How's it feel to be out on the podium and showing the big Bentley is not done just yet?
Yeah, I'm actually quite amazed. I couldn't believe it when I came out of the pits and I was still 3rd. after going for a long stint, not taking tires. And yeah, the Bentley is freaking awesome. I enjoy it. It's like a different car, and you will always see me on the track. So yeah.
Let's take a quick one on that one. You went one of the longest in your drives to get the first pit stop out the way. What was the thought process behind that? Because that was a gamble.
Yeah, so I thought I didn't have the pace in the Bentley to fight with the other guys like Farmer and Christoph and Bago. So I thought maybe I just go long. I'll fuel save a bit and try and just like pip them in the pits. Obviously, Christoph is still too quick for me. That guy went the same normal pace with a full fuel of car full of fuel. So yeah, it actually worked quite well. I only had to put like, I think 4 liters of fuel at the end. I was fuel saving quite well.
And I've got to ask, game plan heading into round 2, Nürburgring, February 12th next week. What's your game plan?
I haven't planned that far, but I just want to aim for top 3 this season. I've been in the top 10, been in the top 5. Now I want that top 3. So I'm gonna definitely practice and make sure I have the pace in the Bentley at the Nürburgring. Yeah.
It's going to be a good one. Henry Platt, congratulations on that top 3. Before I let you go, anything you wish to say to the drivers, to the teams out there, any fighting words to your competition that are keeping an eye on you, and any words to our legendary race fans out on the virtual grandstands?
No, thanks for everyone for showing up and watching. Thanks to you for doing the stream. That's the only way my mom can see I'm actually doing something. And yeah, to all the sponsors, thank you guys. And then yeah, to all the competitors, I'm not going to play around this season. I'm really going to practice, and I'm going to try and get that top 3. So they must watch out.
Absolutely well done, and we look forward to seeing you going and fighting out for the podium. Henry Platt getting a 3rd place in the Pro Division. That being said, let's bring in the Team Wolf driver of Bago Grobler, who was one of our earlier stops. Bago Grobler, welcome to the commentary box. 2nd place after trying to take a little bit of a gamble, different to last season with your pit stops. How are you feeling managing to grab that 2nd place for round 1?
How's it, Steven? Sure, tell you what, it's hot in Cape Town, so I can feel I've been in a race tonight.
Now, take us through the start of the race. We saw Christoph Peterson, Jason Absmeyer, turn 1, off into the weeds. All of a sudden, you and Henry Platt leading out the race. What was going through your mind when you're starting on the 2nd row, and then all of a sudden, by turn 1, you guys are fighting out for the lead?
Yeah, it was. I was kind of hoping that I don't get into a too wide situation in the first sector, because guys tend to not leave space in that flowing section. But I think myself and Henry had a little door-to-door at some point there, but I think as soon as Chris and Jason went off, we sort of just settled in behind each other. Yeah, and then from there I was quicker, but it's a difficult place to pass if you don't have straight line speed, and that Bentley was quite good, quick sort of mid-range. Only right towards the end of the straight I would start catching, but not enough to make a pass. But then luckily he made a mistake in the last sector, and then that allowed me to get past in the next lap into turn 1. So yeah, and then after that it was just waiting for the inevitable to see how long it would take Chris to hunt me down. And then we had a good sort of semi-battle, I think, for a while. But yeah, obviously the strategy just better tonight, so is what it is.
And take us through now, getting onto the podium, getting 2nd place, eyes towards the championship. You've proven that you can take in the fight to the sharp end of the field, but you've also got lots of competition at the back. Jason Farmer made his way through with a much earlier pit stops than you guys. You had Henry Platt having a go at you, Christoph having a go at you. how do you feel for the season, knowing that we've got a lot of technical circuits versus the more high-speed circuits that we've seen in past seasons for season 25?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, obviously we'll try our best and try and give Christoph a go this time around. But I mean, he's exceptionally fast, and I think you'll probably need a bit of luck to stay in the championship fight right until the end. But we won't stop trying. But having said that, I'd be second minimum. Well, second basically is my goal. So. Sounds kind of funny, but to be aiming for second from the start of the season, but with time constraints and those type of things, I think it's a realistic goal. So that's what we'll be not settling for anything less, and then trying as hard as we can to see if we can get anything more.
Absolutely. Now, before I let you go, anything you want to say to the drivers and teams coming back for another season here at RaceFace.Pro for the EG Vault ACC GT3 Championship? But also to any words you would like to say to your competitors that you're fighting out for the championship for. And last but not least, the legendary race fans out there on the virtual grandstands, they're becoming race after race after race and joining us here at Imola for round 1 of the championship for 2026.
Yeah, I think some interesting car choices this season. Christoph in the Merc, and then Henry in the Bentley, and Jason in the Lexus, and myself back in the Ford. So, not our usual cars. Jason's been racing the Ferrari forever, and Henry's trying the Bentley, and I've only done one season in the Ford, and so it's going to be fun. I think everybody has shaken it up a bit this season, which is great to see. And then I think we've got something like 80 entries for round 1, which is just phenomenal. There was some talk in the off season about ACC being dead and whatever, and I think we still, 80 guys. I think that's more than the LMU and iRacing side combined. So it's great to see the guys still turning up, and I mean the racing is still good, the show's still good, so it's brilliant. So thanks for everybody for turning up, and then obviously to everybody behind the scenes, thanks for another season. It's season 25 now, so we making a good go of it. And then to all the fans that keep tuning in every single week, you guys are the legends. Thanks for supporting us and for creating this platform for us to do what we enjoy.
Absolutely wonderful. Bagger Krobler for Team Wolf getting second place in the Pro Division and overall. With that being said, there can only be one winner in the pros and one overall winner, and that goes to Across the Waters. Let's have a chat to Christoph Peterson, the Fear the Bones driver and logistical nightmare driver. Christoph, welcome to the commentary box. A race that was challenging right off the bat for you. Jason Abschmeyer giving a good go in qualifying, and then having a bit of a moment in turn 1, having to claw your way back through the field. How are you feeling after this race?
I'm super happy, of course. Imola is really not my strongest track at all. So I was expecting to struggle, actually, but I spent the whole day preparing, and it turned out really well.
Now, take us through the start of the race. It didn't work out in your favor, and having to carve your way through the field, that was still a multitude of back and forth battles between the pro and the pro-ams. What was the mentality going through that amount of traffic, knowing that you do have the pace, but you've got to be mindful of the races around?
Well, so Imola is always dangerous. Like, I had the worst races at Imola in the past. I think the track is really bad for racing. But yeah, in T1 I just tried to stay in the middle to discourage him from going to the inside. He did it anyway, unfortunately. That led to the crash. And I hope my rejoin was safe enough. I saw a guy hit me from behind. So apologies if the rejoin was unsafe. I'm just going to look at it after the race too. But yeah, like in the first few minutes, I saw, okay, they are not that far away. I kind of made it back on the track in time. So I tried to clear as many positions as I could because I knew I was on full fuel, so I'm likely gonna jump many people in the pits that were taking tires. But I still thought like I don't want to get stuck behind someone that's maybe also not taking tires or maybe slower than me or something, and let the leaders run away. And that went really well. Then I just didn't fight Bago because I thought I'm not going to take any risks, and I already felt like he was going to take tires because his pace was kind of fitting. And yeah, that just, I think the tire management was just really good in the end, and I had good pace.
Well, we did see you really go and push those tires to the limit. What was the entire game plan of it? Was it straight into the race? You knew you were going to be on a single set of tires because the track conditions worked out in doing so? Or was it well, I'm a little bit behind. I needed to try and take the gamble to move forward to score points for round one?
No, it was my game plan from the start because Imola is not putting a lot of load into the tires, so he can really make them last. I could have gone 30 minutes longer, honestly, on those tires. It was really no issue. And you could see that, like, every time I reached low fuel in the end, my lap times were suddenly close to the fastest lap again, or like my personal fastest lap. So that went really well. And the Mercedes is also a good car for that because it doesn't really, like, unlike the Honda, it doesn't really change the balance throughout the stint and wears front and rear really evenly. So yeah, I just had to keep it clean. I was unfortunately on 3 cuts for a long while, but even that I kind of managed well. The chicane was always dangerous, but yeah, it worked.
And I've got to ask, looking at the championship with a lot of pressure being put on by the rest of the field, what's your game plan? You've got 7 more rounds to try and duke it out for the championship crown. And you've got the likes of Henry Platt, you've got the likes of Jason Amschmeyer, Jason Farmer, and so many more hunting you down. What's your game plan?
Well, the calendar is a lot more challenging for me than the last one. The last one had many of my favorite tracks on there, especially my favorite tracks in the Honda. And now in a new car with tracks I'm not that great at, this is going to be a challenge. But the nice thing is, as seen today, I can vary my strategy a little bit more. In the Honda, it was pretty much always taking tires and like going all out. So I think maybe I can adjust my strategy in the races more and maybe like experiment a little bit more. So I think it's gonna be an interesting season, and I think it's also gonna help me in the other league I'm running in that we all know.
Well, it's gonna be a very, very interesting run, and this Sunday, you, Bago, Henry Platt, all going to be duking out yet again for some racing in a variety of leagues. But it's good to see that you're coming and joining us here in the South African League here at RaceFace. But before I let you go, anything you want to say to the teams, to the drivers, any words, fighting words that you want to say to the competitors challenging you for the championship, to anyone in the background, and most importantly, the legendary race fans rejoining us this season, 25 seasons in for the RaceFace.Pro ACC Championship, this time powered by EG Evolved.
Well, I just got an apology from Jason Absmeyer, and I also have really good relations to my other competitors, so I'm not going to say any fighting words right now. But yeah, otherwise, like, thanks to RaceFace for still organizing this ACC league. I think it's really important in these times that we keep going, because even though the game doesn't get updated anymore, you can see that many people are still interested in competing in ACC. So it's cool to be here too, and to be able to defend my title, hopefully. And yeah, thanks to everyone for organizing. Thanks to everyone watching, and keep watching. I hope it's entertaining, and see you next week.
Absolutely wonderful. Christoph Peterson and Fear the Bones and Logistical Nightmare Driver taking the victory here for round 1 of the EG Evolved RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship Season 25. And we got to see Pro and Pro-Am duke it out. But folks, it's not done yet. Next week, we're going to be heading out to the Nürburgring out in Germany to go and slug it out in an all-right brawl. And we're going to see who's going to be able to get their way to the top. If you want to join in with all the action, head over to our Discord down in the description. And also go and take a look at RaceFace.Pro out on SimGrid, as there's plenty more coming out. Don't forget to take a look at our title sponsor, EG Evolved, for all those sim racing needs. Whether you need a seat, a rig, pedals, steering, or more, they got you covered, including whether you want to take some flight and get a little bit of sightseeing over these racetracks. Well, folks, it's been a great one to have you all this evening. It's great to be back on the South African comms and chatting to all you legendary fans out in amongst the world, and looking forward to the racing. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell notification icon, like usual YouTube stuff. But most importantly, have a great one. Keep safe, keep warm, or in South Africa's place, keep cool. And we'll see you next week. And like always, folks, I'm sure everyone knows by now, but if you don't, you're going to learn it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. From myself, Stephen Koenig, from Tim on the cameras to Jim on the flags, we'll see you next time.